Dear Earthmates, this dialogue will be with esteemed short fiction writer Çiler İlhan. We met in Istanbul, Turkey, and she won European Union Prize for Literature in 2011. I was in the committee, the president of the committee, selection committee, and her book Exile struck us as the jury tremendously, and since then it has been translated to how many languages so far?
Over 20, I think close to 25.
It should be more and more. I think really one of the most significant, one of the best short fiction books in our age, in the whole world. I mean it. And it gives the flavor of a novel at the same time. It's a mosaic of, how would you describe your book?
Well, first of all, thank you. I doubt if I deserve all those beautiful words. Thank you so much. I'm really touched by it, because we writers, we do such a job. Sometimes I'm lost personally. I sit in my room and write, and then I think, what am I actually doing? But to hear such words from readers, it gives a meaning to what you do as a writer. And coming from you, it's of course, it's actually very special that I hear those from you, because at university at Boğaziçi, when I was studying political science, I was always engaged in writing, and we had a literature club, and I don't remember, but either you were one of our counselors, or either you were helping us with it. So it has a very special meaning. Thank you. You said short fiction writer. Yes, Exile is short fiction, definitely. It has been said that it has the taste of a novel, because the texts sort of talk to each other and talk for each other. So I don't know where I would place it, and I don't really care, because I write what I want. And of course, not as much as you, but I also see myself a bit like a multidisciplinary writer, because my new book is a novel. It's a short novel, but it is a novel, and my coming book, hopefully next year, is also a novel. But in the meantime, I started writing stories again. So what we do as writers, we do something, and then it's sometimes hard to classify. Exactly. But exactly, and what you do as well, like writing librettos, and you act, and you also play and direct. So Exile was lucky as well, I believe, on top of all your compliments, because after 1 year, Turkey didn't want to be a part of this award anymore, if you can recall. So there was only one more writer, and that was still a time when Istanbul was the European capital of culture in 2010. So we were really more hopeful. Let me say, we're never hopeless, but we're more hopeful. So it was more a fruitful environment for a writer than a younger writer. Now I'm, of course, 10 years older, obviously, to to blossom in the international arena, let's say. And due to the award, thanks to the award, it had received translation funds from some publishing houses, and some states, some governments, which is also very helpful, as you know, because still today, some of the writers need to pay for their own translation to English, so that the English publishing houses can actually understand what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So I would say thanks a lot. It touched some basic, crucial issues, and maybe the emotional texture was heavy. but it was also lucky, I have to say.
For the Earthmates who don't know, the jury was formed by PEN Turkey Center, and you and I, we are both members of PEN. And by the way, PEN has been celebrating the 100th anniversary, centenary, as you know.
Yes.
And a few days ago, our member, who's lawyer and novelist Burhan Sönmez, was elected as international president. Also great news. By the way, he is also a member of Kurdish PEN and Englishman. So we wish him the best. And in your book, Exile, different characters talk, don't they?
Yes, yes.
For example,
a dog, a stray dog, or a laboratory mice, or an unborn kid, or a buried kid, because she was a girl. A perpetrator who killed his sister and the sister in another part. So various people and objects and beings, actually.
Yes.
They tell their stories, they tell their own stories. And I try to use these different points of view to show, first of all, to myself, because we all are bound with our education, with our social standing thinkings, and unless we are a very good philosopher, it's very hard to keep questioning things. So maybe it was a time when I was questioning a lot of things and a lot of values in my life, within myself, within the society. So when they talk, they actually sometimes confirm each other, but mostly clash each other. And I hope it made some of the readers at least think, oh, wow, okay, so there might be another point of view, or okay, we can see it like this as well. So I was reading your declaration, the Earth Civilization Project declaration again, and I would like to cite a few things, because actually this is what I would love to do as a writer as well. It says openness to revise our assumptions. This is so crucial to me. This is because if you don't do this, that this is the base to fascism, this is the base to cruelty. For me, this is so important, and this is what Exile is actually trying to do in its own little world. And all these, again, citing from declaration, because it's a well-written declaration, so problems could be re-evaluated for the sake of a peaceful future in harmony with human rights, democratic values, and nature. This is actually what I'm trying to do in my books as well. Not, of course, I'm a writer, I'm not an activist, I'm not a journalist, and I keep saying this because I do not see the burden of changing the world in myself, or I'm not a politician. Although I studied political science, I chose another path to write. So I write what I like. But the things that I write touch me deeply, and they're usually contradictory issues.
Yes, but here's a surprise for you. You are also an activist, because writing is active.
True.
You cannot help being a...
That is true. These things we talk about, or what are you? What can you reach with writing?
You are modest. Let me put it that way. You are modest, and I share that. I mean, for example, in Wikipedia, on Wikipedia, somebody prepared my Turkish
Page.
Page with a lot of titles, and intervened and cut it to writer only, but then again they changed it. You know, we humbly try to do our best and leave the rest.
Sure. Yeah.
So your new book, your new work, what is it?
It is at the moment it is only in Turkish, but hopefully and most probably it will be translated to English and to Dutch because I live in the Netherlands, and to Germany probably because my agent lives there in Berlin. It came out in June, so it's quite new. In Turkish, it's called Nişanevi, which could be translated as engagement house, with or without the, I don't know, engagement house, I believe.
Maybe home, engagement home.
Meant home. But it is based on a real mass murder. And then, you know, I have some friends asking me, why don't you write pink love stories? Maybe I will one day. But it is a tough story as well. It is based on a mass murder that took place in Mardin, in the village of, in one villages of Mardin, Bilgeköy'ü,
I remember
2009.
that.
Yes, it is a horrible and unbelievable happening. And of course, the perpetrators, the killers, the murderers are in jail. But when you look at the whole system and the bigger picture, they're not in jail. They're still running countries. They're still everywhere. Because I see that I had made a lot of research on that event, and I talked to people. And my assumption, again, I'm not saying it's right, my personal assumption coming out of from a lot of research is that it's not, we cannot see that mass murder only as a clash of clans or kan davası. How can you translate it? Blood. Yes, thank you. It's a lot of things that actually has been happening in the east of Turkey for many years. But of course, it's fiction. It's a fiction war. So the mass murder is real, so it bases on that. But I formed it in a way. It's not surreal. I can't say it's not fantastic. Definitely not the writing, the genre. If we want to put it somewhere, it's not surreal. It's definitely not fantastic. But it has his unique way of telling a story, maybe like a fairy tale that ends up with with a nightmare. It's a short book, but I think I couldn't have written that book longer because it's
not necessary. The shorter, the better.
Exactly.
The conciseness of literature is very powerful. And I admire you for a number of things. And one of them is you are struggling as a writer, as a human being. Your output is a result of your struggle, your pain, your suffering, your questioning, your not finding whatever you write, I think, sufficient. Yet, this is the best I can do, so I'm sharing it. This is my message. And this is great literature, what you do, actually, what you are doing. It's great literature.
Thank you. I hope it is good literature.
Yes, because without show off, without plain, strong, deep, and leading the reader to both feel and think. You're doing great literature, yes.
Thank you. I think our motives are the same, actually. My motives are writing because, again, you say in Declaration, we are aware of the bitter facts, and there is a long list: severe inequalities, child abuse, unfair treatment of women, and I would say other sexes or other people who don't fit anywhere or who don't see themselves in any
Yes.
classification, lack of various freedoms, terrible judiciary systems. For example, this is a topic that we know that it's not the best in Turkey, but a friend of mine is actually working on it, a writer in America, in New York, and she is building a university, a complexes of university in prison. So I got to know how the American judiciary system works. So this is common to the whole world. And when you say that, I definitely agree with it. We just incarcerate people, we put them in jails, and then what happens with them? So that, I find it so cruel. And I also find it so amazing, not in a good sense, unbelievable, how much a state, the people that you choose, have power on you. They can torture you, they can cut your leg, they can kill you, they can keep you in jail forever. It's to me, this is unbelievable. And we created this thing called democracy, and democracy is of course very important. We see it everywhere. When you cannot vote, what happens? So it's not ideal, but it's vital. So all these things that you talk about, racism and just you name it more, all these things hurt me. They do hurt me. I sometimes, now I live in the Netherlands for 4 years, and when I go to Turkey to see my family for holidays, sometimes I cannot enjoy my dinner because I just keep thinking about that poor guy who brings me my food, and I'm like, does he ever eat this? Does he ever eat fish? Can he eat this? And then I see him tired, and I think, okay, how many hours a day should he be working? And of course he doesn't have any security. And I just look at these things, and then that dinner I cannot enjoy it. This is something maybe a bit better in the Netherlands because there is a bigger middle class, the social system is better. Okay, it's not a welfare state or welfare economy anymore. A few years ago they call it participation society. So a lot of people have been complaining about it, that they don't have so much social rights anymore, still compared to our parts of the world. I was in Pakistan, Bangladesh, India as well for literature festivals mainly. And I am charmed by India, and Pakistan is also beautiful, but seeing that poverty, or seeing those inequalities, or I was talking to a writer friend in India, and I asked her, so is this clan thing, is it really very strong? And she said, are you kidding me? This today, last year, she said, are you kidding me? A lower clan would be killed, and the police wouldn't even, look at the case.
This is horrible. The declaration you mentioned, I penned it in 2013 and consulted some friends all over the world, from all over the world, and they signed gently. Since then, of course, each of us has been trying to contribute in our various fields. After giving it a lot of thought, I came to a point when I say, in order to deal with the complexity, with the impossible mission of dealing with complexity, dynamism of the world, maybe a simple, I like the word simplex, simple and complex together, a simplex attitude. And I now say, I too am on this planet, I too am responsible. This is my ethical stand, that's all, as simple as that. Yeah. There are big theoretical works which are important, and there are billions of people without water. So how shall we find a bridge between those works, complex works, and the majority of the people? So I'm trying to find the simplest means to help people uh, uh, as ideas, values. As Marx said, free association of individuals. I like that expression. So the Earth Civilization movement or project movement or platform should be or is a free association of individuals, and each person has the right to consider oneself an Earth Civilization volunteer. And then individually or finding other people trying to do concrete things. So there are actually billions of people in the world who are establishing, there is this Earth Civilization in action, I want to call it. There is something going on, there has been going on. So this is an ongoing process. When we come to the word democracy, maybe democracy is a verb rather than a noun. I am in favor of democratization. I think the whole world needs democratization.
Yes, I agree.
Constant challenge. It's an ethical standard, in all fronts. We are not alone, but there are lots of Earthmates that we have not met, and our synergy can do more than we can imagine.
True. I think it was either in one of the interviews or again in the presentation of the project. So there are two ways of asking this question. What can I do? I'm only one person in 8 million. Or what can I do? So what I had chosen, even though I studied political science, I'm writing. I want to write like this. With this my latest book, Engagement Out, Nishanevi, I had quite a few, a lot of readers, a lot in, I mean, you know what I mean, they not a lot, but various number of readers, because I'm not a bestseller writer, so in that sense, quite a few readers who reached me and who said, oh my goodness, you are absolutely right. We forgot about this. I think memory is a very contradictory issue, is a problem in our country. And as a writer, I only am happy if an art piece can remind something so dramatic, and when you through reading it, if you remember it and you rethink about it, and you reevaluate your assumption, or then you see the Kurdish problem or the clan problem or the Ashiret with another eye. So that if that could be my contribution, I'm more than happy. And to me, as a writer, that's what I do.
Very good, excellent. This caste system in India has been a tremendous problem in spite of the positive attitude of the governments trying to overcome this serious problem. There are wonderful organizations, local and international, focusing on, for example, slavery. There's anti-slavery organization.
It's going on in the Netherlands, for example, at this moment. They are rereading the history, and they're trying to come up with at least moral compensations. They're rechanging the name of the streets. For example, a colonel was a hero for a white man, but he was the killer of his grandparent for a colored person or for an Indonesian. So that is actually happening in the Netherlands. Sorry. Yes, I wanted to insert that.
Thank you. There are actually about 50 million real slaves in the world now, real slaves. So we have not overcome slavery yet. So the thing is, there are wonderful organizations, but is there a cooperation among them, between them? To my knowledge, not so much. And bringing together, looking at the world holistically, and with a global approach. I like this term too. Global and local together, global. And actually, a book says globalization is actually a glocalization, partly true. So we have a lot to do. And thanks to technology, I think in our age, two things have been vital. One of them is the internet, of course, and the other one is this COVID-19 pandemic, and which has been helping all the Earthmates realize better that we are on the same boat.
Oh, yes.
We hope things will be more and more in the hands of concerned Earthmates. How do you write, by the way? How do you do you have specific time of the day, or do you use pen or direct?
I take a lot of notes, and I write at my computer, but I have a lot of notebooks as well. So I paint my characters, I draw my characters, I write my characters first in my notebooks, I take notes, and then, or of course at the same time, right, with technology, thanks to technology, let me say. But I write in the mornings due to the fact that I take care of my daughter after school, so she finishes at 2:30. So until 2:30, I'm the writer, and after that, I'm first her mother, and then in between, if I can write or edit, I do. But usually after she goes to sleep, if I'm working on a novel or if I'm working on an intense piece, then I either write, or if I'm not too tired, edit or do the research in the evenings as well. Great. But when I go to writing residences, then I use my day as I wish. Then of course, then it's then I can write more.
And how about motherhood? Has motherhood influenced your writing?
It influenced me as a person. It made me another person. So it must have. I cannot really pinpoint things in my writing, but it made me a more compassionate human being, for sure. And that I value very much. And it made me think about existence much more. It made me question life, aim of life, us human beings as mammals, and then us human beings as philosophers. All these things, when I was pregnant with Eva, I thought I was simply another mammal, a cow, I don't know, a sheep, because it is so much alike, where I felt like a pure animal. Very good. But then there were those moments where I was enchanted by the existence itself. A life form came out of my body, and then I started questioning everything again. So it has been a magical journey for me personally. I know that it's different for everyone, but I have enjoyed, and I'm enjoying every step of it, although sometimes it's very intense, of course, and it's tiring, but it's great. I wouldn't change it to anything else.
An unmatchable adventure, I guess.
And I believe this amount of experience, this amount of spiritual and intellectual and physical experience could only grow you as a writer. It can't be vice versa, I think.
But about you, another interesting thing is, for me, you are a highly disciplined person, to my knowledge. You're a great organizer, also creative. How do they get along? Uh, how do you bring these two together?
Well, I have actually it makes my life easier to be organized because then I can departmentalize things, and then when I do things, I really concentrate. I really do just one thing. Like I write without music. I love that because if with music I lose the sound of the words, I don't hear the words. The same with you, maybe as you. Or when I read something, I read something. When I'm with Ava, my daughter, I'm with Ava. So all those moments where I focus and where I dedicate my time to, I do them at maximum efficiency. So that helps my life as a mother, writer, as a whatever else I do. But then I have my days off, like my mind is off. Then I tend to do nothing. That doesn't happen very often. But when I travel or when I focus more like on, I do more yoga or I do more gym. So it's like I give myself breaks and then I'm full throttle again.
Great. And as we are for this gathering, as we're, let's say, closing our conversation for now, what else would you like to say? What else would you like to express?
I wish for every human being, because we talked about occupation and well, we talked about a lot of things as well. But there is something I believe, if everybody could do whatever they really like, but they, without concerns of earning your life, without concerns of gaining money. If I ask you, you had tons of money or a government that supported you in any way, what would you love to do? I hope everybody does that occupation. That is the answer to that question, because I'm doing it right now and I love it. And I think this energy is something else than a paid job. By doing only what you really love, actually you contribute to the well-being of the whole planet. This is what I believe. And that's my wish for everyone.
Thank you. Great wish. I join you. And thank you so much, İlhan.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Okay.
We are together. This is how I say goodbye. We are together.
Okay. We're together.
Take care.